This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Before I get started with the final part of this series that will cover picks 21 to 32 of the 2022 NFL Draft, I want to remind you guys of how this is going to work. On your screen now, you can see the grades I gave to each first round pick separated by tier, but this isn't meant to revolve around grades. I'll tell you what I thought of each player when I watched the tape, but the function of this project is to help you guys understand what each team is getting in their first round pick. If you have any questions about my grading system or prospects who were picked later than the first round, please feel free to shoot me a DM on Twitter, and I'll do my best to answer every question I can. You're going to hear me reference a lot of stats and measurements in this video, and I'll attach links in the description to sources for that information. Also, those of you who stick around till the end will get a special offer from the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. But if you're just here for your favorite team's pick, head down to the description for timestamps. So let's kick this off with the Kansas City Chiefs, who at number 21 overall took Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington. McDuffie's college tape would lead you to believe that he could have been a top 15, maybe even a top 10 pick in this draft. He thrives in zone coverage because his burst is exceptional, but he's not limited to his zone scheme. He doesn't have extensive experience in press man coverage, but he has the mirror ability to hold up in man. Despite his size, or lack thereof, he's a competitor. In addition to the burst he displays on tape, he's the best tackling corner in this class, which makes me think that he could turn into a really solid nickel corner with the ability to be flexed outside if playing him outside permanently doesn't go as planned. The overarching reason for why McDuffie fell outside the top 20 was because at a little under 30 inches, his arm length is nowhere near what most teams look for in an outside corner. Since 2013, there have been 30 different cornerbacks to make an All-Pro team, and none of them have arms that measure in at less than 30 inches. Casey Hayward and Vontae Davis are the only two on that list with arms less than 31 inches, and the rest measure in at 31 or more. So by picking McDuffie, Kansas City is betting on him to be an outlier. Now, like I said, McDuffie's tape was really good. So good that despite his size, he was still a first-round pick. But the odds are against him becoming a high-level outside cornerback. His versatility keeps his floor relatively high because if it doesn't work out on the outside, he could easily be plugged in at nickel or even safety. So even if he has to overcome his lack of size to play on the outside, that isn't the only path to a great career for McDuffie. At number 22 overall, the Green Bay Packers selected Quay Walker, linebacker, Georgia. I had a high grade on Walker relative to what I was seeing during the pre-draft process, so I was surprised to see him be the first linebacker off the board, but I don't dislike this pick at all. When you turn on the tape, the first thing that you notice with Walker is how reliable he is as a tackler. In 2021, he missed just 4.6% of tackle attempts according to Pro Football Focus, which was tied for third lowest among all FBS linebackers. He's really good at shuffling rather than crossing over in run pursuit, which keeps his hips angled toward the ball and makes it easy to plant his foot and explode in the other direction. Walker also tested really well at the combine, and his athleticism will make him a versatile player at the next level. He's one of the better run defending linebackers in this class, he's an able pass rusher, and he'll make plays in coverage every so often as well. I would like to see his play strength be a little bit more consistent because sometimes he'll shed blocks from much bigger linemen with no issue, but other times he'll struggle to disengage. He still has room to improve in coverage, but I think that the versatility he offers will allow his coaches to carve out a role for him on all three downs from day one. At number 23 overall, the Buffalo Bills selected Kaiir Elam, cornerback, University of Florida. If I watched Elam's 2021 tape in a vacuum, I would have thought that there was no way that he would get picked in the top 50. He struggled with throttling down on routes that break back to the ball, his change of direction was a question mark, and he was super grabby with receivers, which caused him to take 7 pass interference penalties in 10 games. The 2021 tape was far from what would be expected in a cornerback picked in the first round, but based on what he looked like in 2020 and especially in 2019, he had to be playing through injury. In 2019, against top-tier SEC competition, Elam allowed 0 touchdowns, a passer rating of 18.3, and a completion percentage of just 43.5% when he was targeted. At just under 6'2" with 31-inch arms, he has the size that most teams look for in an outside corner, and even more importantly, he ran a 4.39 second 40 at the combine. That recovery speed is going to be a necessary asset in the new-look AFC East because with the additions of Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, Garrett Wilson to the Jets, and Tyquan Thornton to the Patriots, Buffalo's defensive backs are in for a challenge in 2022. Assuming he's fully recovered from the knee injury he suffered early last season, Elam should be a great complement to Tre'Davious White, and he fills the biggest hole on what is now probably the best roster in the entire league. At number 24 overall, the Dallas Cowboys selected Tyler Smith, offensive tackle, Tulsa. If you remember my grades from early in the video, you know that I gave Smith the lowest grade of any first-round pick. But that doesn't mean I don't think he's a good player. Smith is right there with Evan Neal, Ike Ekwonu, and Trevor Penning in terms of pure strength that he displays in the run game. His lower body strength is insane, and he can generate torque through his hips on base blocks better than any other offensive lineman in this class. Smith will be putting defenders on the ground from day one. But the reason why I had a third-round grade on him is because he's super raw, both as a run blocker and in pass protection. The body control that you like to see in bigger tackles just isn't there. He displays poor balance, his punch timing and placement is inconsistent at best, as well as his ability to plant and anchor against power rushers. Because of his size and athletic traits, Smith has the potential to be a very good player at the next level. But I think that his best path to success is at guard rather than tackle, because I just don't trust him taking vertical sets on Dak Prescott's blind side. And that's why I'm not really a fan of this pick. I don't think you take a player in the first round who projects at a position other than what he played in college. But maybe Smith and the Cowboys will prove me wrong. At the very least, Smith will continue to be one of the more entertaining offensive linemen to watch. At number 25 overall, the Baltimore Ravens selected Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa. I had two players in this class in my top tier. One was Sauce Gardner, and the other was Linderbaum. And even though Linderbaum was expected to fall because of positional value, I did not see him getting all the way to 25. Out of high school, he was recruited as an offensive and defensive lineman, but took his first snaps on the defensive line when he arrived at Iowa. Prior to the 2019 season, Linderbaum switched to the offensive line and never looked back. In his first year at center, he earned honorable mention All Big Ten honors and was an AP All-American both in 2020 and 2021. Since making the switch to center, Linderbaum has consistently improved, and in 2021, he solidified himself as one of the best center prospects we've ever seen. Linderbaum is a prime example of why offensive line coaches salivate when they see a lineman with a wrestling background. He thrived in Iowa's zone-heavy run scheme because of his combination of twitch and play strength on the move. In terms of pure value, snagging Linderbaum at 25 makes this one of the best picks in the entire first round. But I don't know if Baltimore will be the best fit for him. Like I said earlier, Linderbaum thrived in Iowa's zone scheme heavy rushing attack, but Baltimore is consistently one of the more gap scheme heavy rushing offenses in the league. Because of his lack of size, Linderbaum will struggle with two gapping nose tackles on base blocks, so I think to get the most out of his skill set, Baltimore will get him on the move more often than they have with their centers in the past. If his skill set is maximized, Linderbaum will be more than just an impact player. We're talking about a franchise cornerstone who can help bring the Ravens' rushing offense back to what it was in 2019. At number 26 overall, the New York Jets selected Jermaine Johnson, edge defender, Florida State. Tyler Linderbaum's fall to the back end of the first round was surprising, but Jermaine Johnson's was downright shocking. I thought that Johnson would go off the board in the top 10 because his tape was just so good. I see Johnson as the best in this class in terms of the ability to set a hard edge against the run. He's got 34-inch arms and he knows how to use them. His tape setting the edge embodies the phrase, "one arm is longer than two." He's great at getting his hand into the opposing tackle's chest to keep from getting engaged at the point of attack, all while keeping his outside foot planted in the ground with a wide base. I think that just putting Johnson on the field opens up what the defense can do coverage-wise because he can play a gap and a half on the edge, which allows for a higher frequency of two high safety structures. As a pass rusher, Johnson is more developmental. He has displayed the ability to win in all three areas, outside, inside, and right up the middle, but his moves are kind of all over the place. He hasn't yet developed a favorite string of moves that he uses on a consistent basis to set tackles up over the course of the game, but that should come with experience. In terms of traits though, Johnson has what it takes to be a great pass rusher. At the Combine, he ran the 40-yard dash in just 4.58 seconds, and his 10-yard split clocked in at 1.55 seconds, which ranks in the 97th percentile at his position. He's an explosive athlete, so his get-off isn't an area of concern at all. The Jets might not be great next year, but they're loading up their roster with young, talented players. And adding Johnson to a defensive line that already has Carl Lawson and Quinnen Williams is scarier than it might seem. At number 27 overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars selected Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah. This was the third consecutive pick of just overwhelming value. Lloyd was the consensus number 1 linebacker in this class, and when you watch him play, it's obvious that he was the most complete of the group. He's good at diagnosing run plays as they develop, but isn't overly aggressive to the point where he's biting too hard on run fakes. He uses violent hands against the run to keep advancing linemen from getting a good grip on him. He can execute pretty much any coverage assignment as well as any other rookie linebacker, and he is an exceptional pass rusher from both off and on the line of scrimmage. The biggest concern with Lloyd, based on what he put on tape in 21, is tackling. He's good at keeping his hips angled to the ball and generally avoids crossing his feet in pursuit, but arm tackling is where issues start to show up. Lloyd is also an average athlete by NFL linebacker standards, so that may have caused some teams to pass him up in favor of more appealing athletic traits. He might be considered to be undersized by some, but most of the NFL's best linebackers also weigh in at somewhere in the 230 to 240 pound range. Considering how far from complete Jacksonville's roster is, I think that getting a guy who can come in and play Mike linebacker from day one is a great move. At number 28 overall, the Green Bay Packers selected Devonte Wyatt, defensive tackle, Georgia. Wyatt provided a really fun evaluation because he has a skill set that you rarely see in a true defensive tackle. His first step explosiveness is really impressive, as well as his agility, but what really popped off the screen to me was the flexibility in his lower half. You don't see that very often in defensive tackles, and it makes Wyatt one of the more versatile defenders in this class. Because of his ability to bend back into the pocket, he'll be able to align in a 5 technique outside the tackle on a consistent basis. And a 300-pound man who can bend to the quarterback should cause some serious problems for opposing offensive tackles. He's the type of player who can be moved all over the defensive line on any down to create mismatches and maximize the unit's productivity in the pass rush. As a run defender, Wyatt doesn't project as a true 2-gapper like his former teammate Jordan Davis, but he possesses some knockback power and can fall into a secondary gap in a gap-and-a-half structure. He's a well-rounded interior defender with the versatility to align both inside and outside the tackles, and to thrive in any defensive front on all 3 downs. At number 29 overall, the New England Patriots selected Cole Strange, offensive guard, Chattanooga. I was unfortunately unable to watch Strange because I didn't have access to any of his college tape, so I'm going to skip right to the Kansas City Chiefs, who at number 30 overall selected George Karlaftis, edge defender, Purdue. You could make a solid argument for Karlaftis being the most refined pass rusher in this class. He already has a complete arsenal of moves, and they all revolve around his devastating bull rush. Karlaftis combines an explosive first step with a powerful lower half, which helps him drive opposing tackles right into the pocket. Now, what separates Karlaftis from the other edge players in this class is his ability to marry his pass rush moves. Everything looks the same. Whether he's going up the middle through the tackle's chest, ripping around the edge, or going with a counter to the inside, it all looks like a bull rush. As he closes the gap between himself and the opposing tackle, he flashes his hands so that no matter what he's doing, the tackle expects him to bull rush right through his chest. This is a quality that's rare in even the best pass rushers at the NFL level. So saying that it's impressive for Karlaftis to display this on tape before he even sets foot on an NFL field is an understatement. But that doesn't make him a perfect prospect. In college, Karlaftis played at around 275 pounds, and if he's going to be a true edge rusher at the next level, he's going to need to drop a little bit of that weight. And rushers who have to drop weight don't have a great track record in the NFL. Despite that size, Karlaftis is not the type of defender who would thrive in a gap-and-a-half structure. He lacks length and often struggles to disengage once an opposing offensive lineman gets a good grip on him, so he's much better fit for a one-gap structure where he can slash his way into the backfield. Getting Karlaftis at pick 30 is solid value, and he will immediately improve Kansas City's pass rush production. At number 31 overall, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Daxton Hill, safety, Michigan. I hesitate to call Hill a safety because that really wasn't his position in college. He played primarily slot corner in 2021 for the Wolverines, but doesn't project there because, at least from what I saw, his hips aren't fluid enough to hold up against shifty slot receivers at the next level. He could theoretically play center field in the NFL, but he's untested in that area, and he doesn't really have the size that teams look for in a box safety. Tape-wise though, Hill is awesome. He made some great plays at and around the line of scrimmage because his trigger is really good, and he plays a physical brand of football. His ball skills are solid, he can fly from sideline to sideline, and even make plays as a blitzer. He killed it at the combine with elite scores in the 40-yard dash, the 3-cone drill, and the 20-yard shuttle. He's a damn good football player. It's just difficult to come up with a role for him at the next level, which is why I think his path to success is heavily reliant on how he's used by Cincinnati's coaches. If the Bengals plug him into any defined position, whether that's box safety, center field, or nickel, he's probably not going to live up to the first-round pick they used to get him. He needs a more abstract role, at least early on while he adjusts to the pros. I think that he should be blitzing a lot, he should be playing center field when the defense goes man-free, and he should be playing close to the line of scrimmage against 3 and 4 receiver sets. But most importantly, there should be a lot of variation in his assignments. At number 32 overall, the Minnesota Vikings selected Lewis Cine, safety, Georgia. Even though I think Minnesota should have gone in a different direction here, I'm so happy that they picked Cine because he was probably the most fun player to watch in this draft process. He flies around the field, eager to lay a hit on the ball carrier, and is one of the better tacklers in this class regardless of position. He's a reliable last line of defense as a center field defender because of that tackling ability, and he has the range to thrive in that role, which was confirmed at the combine when he ran a 4.37 second 40-yard dash. He's explosive enough to play in the box as well, but I don't think he should play there permanently because he struggles to consistently take on and defeat blocks against the run. He's a football player through and through, almost to a fault because he sometimes needs to tone down the headhunting in order to avoid penalties. I didn't consider safety to be a huge need on Minnesota's roster, which has many other holes, so I didn't think that this was the best pick for them, but they got a great value at pick number 32, and a player who should make an immediate impact on this Vikings defense. Before I go, I'd like to share a word from the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. If you have a business or are interested in starting one, Squarespace is a phenomenal resource for building your online presence. It's an all-in-one platform that can help get your brand off the ground or take your business to the next level by building a website. What you see on your screen now is the site I created for my brand, and all of this was done in just a few hours. It's a really user-friendly service and offers tons of tools that can help you do whatever it is you want to do with a website. Personally, for now, I'm using it as a gallery to showcase my work on YouTube, so on the homepage you can see my most recent videos. Squarespace also offers countless other products and services such as website templates, analytics, and the ability to hire an expert. Whatever you want to do to grow your brand, and wherever you are in the process, Squarespace has a service for you. So go check out squarespace.com for a 14-day trial. Then, when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/BillyStevens or click the link at the very top of the description to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/BillyStevens for 10% off your first purchase. But that's going to do it for the final part of this series. Now that draft season is over, I'm going to shift my focus back over to the NFL with some rookie reviews first, and then I'll cover some other off-season topics. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out my Twitter and Patreon at the links in the description, but that's all I've got for now. So until next time, peace.